what is your wife helping? Hopefully your wife is helping you out at home. But then you hear these dudes complaining about how their wife ain't doing nothing. But I'm looking at him like, yo, that's your fault. Yeah. That's your fault. You set that up. I was like, just because she's at home helping out, she could contribute. Like,
right. And then also just I think it's just like I think it's just the standard that you set for yourself, and the standard you set for yourself and the standard you set for your relationship, because that didn't just come out of nowhere. Like women don't just get married and they just all of a sudden be like, oh, I don't want to do nothing no more. Like that had that behavior, that energy was already there, or that conversation was never had of like.
There was times I felt that energy. I know, like, oh, you haven't seen me in a while. I was like, I get it, I understand, but understand what I'm trying to do. And well, this is the first phase. I bought the property. Now, so that was the first phase. The landlord, all right, boom. Now the next phase, bigger and better. Yeah. But it's just like, you never accosted me. Oh, I need to see you more. It was just like, okay, are you free now? Let's have fun for these 2 hours right after work. Yeah. Or it's Sunday and you already know I work 6 days a week, but boom, let's see each other Sunday.
Yeah. And then what also helped with that was like you were really upfront about your time. I want to say, like maybe the first month when we were talking on POF, of course you talk all the time. And then like when we first started texting, it was probably like another month or so where it was like real consistent, and then it didn't drop off, but you also were like, you explained your situation. You was like, yo, like I get up really early, I go to bed early during the week, this is what I do. Sometimes I might have to work overtime, like this is when I can see you. But what you also did after that was you continued to be like, when can you see me? When can you do this? Are you free to do this? It wasn't like, oh, because I've had experiences where like when I had like multiple jobs in the past, or when I was like working at the magazine and I had to be out at different days and this, it's always the excuse, oh, you always working, you got time, blah, blah. But it was never like, when are you free? You work at this time, like, can you do this? When can you do this? There was never that follow-up. So it was like, not only you set the expectation and then you continue to follow up with it.
Gentlemen, first of all, that's nasty movement. I did that, and shout out to homegirl who checked me on that. My ass is at work texting her, what you doing? She texts me back, you got too much time on your hands. I'm at work and I read that, it hurt a little bit, and then
copy.
I'm like, oh, that sentiment, it resonated with me, because that made so much sense. And if a woman's harassing you, she got too much time on her. What's she doing? What are you doing? I was like, you know what I'm doing. What time is it? It's 9 a.m. on a Tuesday?
It's almost a coffee break.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's the thing I always say was like, you never, like, for the first 6 months we were dating, like, I probably was still just up in the air about what it was gonna be, but it was just like, yo, I keep seeing you, like, you keep asking me to do stuff, so it was like
consistency.
So yeah, that was the biggest thing I had to go on.
Say what you mean what you say.
And yeah, so, and then also that, even though like we hit it off really well the first couple of months, and then when you set that expectation, I could have reneged and been like, nah, that's not gonna work for me. But at least you knew it was like, I can't do nothing after that. I said, this is my capacity. This is where I'm at. This is what I can do. Like, especially you were already well into your career. You already knew you had a goal of being in real estate before you even met me. Yeah. So it's just like, you know, if it would have just been an amicable separate, because that's just what it was. It's not no hard feelings, but you set that expectation, and now you just find somebody that can fit within that.
But you also met me at a good point in my life, because when you first was talking to me, I was in Vegas. That's why the timing on the conversations was interesting, because it wasn't reality. You know, I'm texting you at 2:00 in the afternoon. Vegas is a 6-hour difference.
Right.
So you like, oh, you like being up late, and then when I left, after that week, I come back to work, it's like, oh, I'm like, no, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I wake up 3 a.m, and then my day end at 4, 5.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I work on Saturday.
Yeah, and then it would be fun too because like sometimes you might hit me up on a Wednesday, like come through after work. It's like what? What's up? So there's a little bit of spontaneity in there too.
Yes.
Oh boy.
But I would say my dating with you. I wasn't thinking about sex. By that time, I was like, all right, I had enough bodies and sexual experience to not be fiending. I'm like, okay, if I entertain the next woman and I taking it serious, because outside of that, I'm not doing no dating boyfriend and girlfriend shit. That's goofy. That's a waste. If I was 14, that was cool. But I'm 30 now, and I was like, at the time I told you I was 26. I was like, okay, so if I entertain a girl for another 2 years, what am I getting out of that 2 years from her guts?
Right.
But I gotta take her on dates, be annoyed when she's mad, and have this and that with her. I'm like, that's no. No. Okay, I gotta see how long term, how can we sustain a relationship long term? So I'm thinking of the quality of character. I was like, okay, if she's kind towards me, the energy, but kind in general, I realized it had to be all organic. I can't teach you to be kind.
Yeah,
I can't teach you to be soft. I can't teach you to be I don't know, just feminine. Like
and there's a difference between like doing needing to learn that in general and then needing to learn how to do that for your partner. Because like like you can be nice, you can be kind or whatever, but also I had to learn like what that looks like towards him, not necessarily like in general. Like I can be nice to people, but what does he need, and vice versa. So it's like, so that's why it's like I see where you can say it's like if I have to teach you just how to be nice, it's just like what? Minimum? Like you're not gonna think about me, but now I'm like you already know how to be nice and how to be kind, how to be helpful. It's like okay, now how can you do that right?
So you could get.
I think I was kind of the same way. I mean, of course, like sex is always gonna be like a thought, but it was more so my focus was like I wanted a relationship, a real relationship, and I wanted somebody to like me for me because I had already constantly been like getting so much attention because of my body and because people think I have a fat ass and this and that and the third. So it was just like that's old. Shit was old to me by then. By the time it was just like all right, it's like all right, whatever.
He don't talk about my watermelons.
Because then it was just like too many times. I would talk to dudes that would be fraudulent in the fact where it's like, oh, you act like you like me so you could get the guts, and then you either go ghost or you switch up later. It's just like, yo, you don't have to do all that just to have sex. Like, just be upfront and honest. And that's a whole nother conversation.
It sounds easy when girl be like upfront and honest, but a dude know if he be like, yo, can I bust your guts? No, Doug. And then he's like, damn.
But the thing is, it's like I feel like it comes to one point you just don't want to hear no.
Yeah.
And
rejection.
So that's selfish.
Rejection. People need to learn how to handle rejection.
Yeah, it's like just because you said something, like every girl don't have to have sex with you just because you think she's cute. But
are you even sexable, bro? That's look in the mirror and be like, yo.
Yeah.
Will you twerk yourself?
Because it's like we all grown. It's like if that's really just what you want, like why are you wasting both our times by trying to act like you like me and this, that, and the third? Because then I feel like that also brings a point of where dudes think, oh, girls is crazy or you clingy this, but it's like a lot of times you was telling her shit to make her feel a certain type of way, but you didn't really feel that way, but you wanted her to be in your hand. Yeah.
Excuse my language. Wanted to get your turkey neck wet. That's all. Damn. But gentlemen, you try to get your turkey wet and you raw dogging these women.
And then it's also like, what is the quality of the sex that you having? Because I personally think when you like the person, at least somewhat, like you don't gotta be in love with them, or maybe you don't necessarily you don't gotta be with them forever, but you have some type of just honest and genuine connection with the person. Sex is way better.
Touche.
So, I think that's just my personal opinion.
Touche. Because I've experienced sex from like a non-feeling perspective. Like, oh, I had sex with a woman that I didn't. There's a couple times I had sex with women I wasn't into them like that. Mm. But it was just like, motherfucker threw me a leg. I was just like, all right, I'm right here on the hoop.
Yeah. It's like, it was cool.
And then after, I dead felt like a biddy that I touched.
Oh no.
I was like, I did all that just for a ski? I gave up my time, my body, my spirit, my company for ski?
Yeah.
And I could have just threw that off in a sock?
Yeah.
And that would have been like a little hot 15. But I spent a whole half a day with this girl.
Didn't learn anything, didn't feel any, yeah.
I don't even know how I got poom poom to this day. Because we have conversations so much in depth about life and where we want to go and shit. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about my dating. Like, there was a handful of times where we had conversations where it went that like depth. Mm-hmm. Or like, what do you like and what your dislikes? We with that typical shit. But the in-depth shit, like when you lay your head down, what you think about when you wake up, where you want to go, where you feel like where you at in life right now, how you feeling, how your spirit. Where you wanna be when you 57, and I'm just like, a lot of people are not even thinking it like that. But I had to realize my perspective is different because I was like 21. You thrown into an environment where there's a lot of men who are already talking about pensions, investments, and all that.
They probably married, have children, like, been through life.
New York construction workers make enough money to talk about taxes and shit, and talk about their houses and shit stuff. But I think that's middle class. Yeah. But as you see how the world's working, there's gonna be either you're poor or you're wealthy. Yes. Because I'm just like, a lot of those dudes I've been doing construction with, they got the house, the kids, the car, and all that. Motherfuckers be stressed as hell at work. And they be most of the time footing all the bills. So he gotta do the overtime. Yeah. Then I'm like, okay, what is your wife helping? Hopefully your wife is helping you out. But then you hear these dudes complaining about how their wife ain't doing nothing. But I'm looking at him like, yo, that's your fault. Yeah. That's your fault. You set that up. I was like, just because she's at home helping out, she could contribute. Like, right.
And then also just I think it's just like the same, I think it's just the standard that you set for yourself and, the standard you set for yourself and the standard you set for your relationship, because that didn't just come out of nowhere. Like, women don't just get married and they just all of a sudden be like, oh, I don't want to do nothing no more. Like, that had that behavior, that energy was already there. Or that conversation was never had of like, yo, like, all right, we're getting married. Like, I make this much money. Like, this is what we want to do. If you're not going to work, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to, but do you have children? Are you going to be raising them? Are you going to be trying to do a side hustle? Do you want to work? Like, X, Y, and Z, like, those type of conversations got to be had. But I feel like a lot of people just, like we've been talking about, which we should do an episode on, supposed to. Oh. So I guess, that whole, like, syndrome? Happy wife, happy life, and this and that and the third. So I can see how a lot of people, where, like, that falls into, because it's like, okay, yeah, I got my wife and this, I don't want to upset her, but, like, this is just that's just how it's supposed to be. Like, my wife's supposed to nag me, or I'm supposed to provide, and I'm just, maybe she do want to do something, maybe she don't. Like,
that's the thing. Working with the construction workers, a lot of dudes didn't make me scared of marriage. It just shined light on
what you don't want.
Vet who you marry. Because a lot of dudes, you be like, you only married her because you had a kid with her. And then now you over here got to work another 45 years because she divorced you and took half everything.
And that also goes like for relationships too. Like, people get in a relationship and they be like, oh, they all of a sudden think either things are just supposed to happen or sorry.
We're going to say part 2.
Tune in for part 2 on the supposed to syndrome. I think we just made up another word. Hopefully that goes viral. But yeah.
But thank you for joining us. Wonderful episode.
We actually shared our story, how we met. I don't think we've actually talked about it publicly for people who don't know. So yeah.
Internet publicly. Oh, I'm lying. I told my friends already know about it. In real life.
Yeah, of course there are people in real life.
They know, people know the story.
But yeah, stay tuned for part 2. Thank you for rocking with us.
I'm your boy T.
And I'm Z.